Joining me now is David Oppertshauser. He's a pastor of Sauble Christian Fellowship in Sauble Beach, Ontario. David was in Haiti with a missions team from his church when the earthquake struck. He's here to share his story along with his daughter, Robin Spence, who was also there with the team. David and Robin, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
First of all, why were you down there in the first place?
Well, for several years our church has been part of mission teams that go each January to work at the Mission of Hope, and we've done construction projects. We've supplemented their medical staff doing mobile clinics to areas where people just don't have any other access to medical supplies and medical equipment, medical people. This year was kind of unique. We even took along a guy who was providing bicycles for the orphans.
So you were there January 12th. Tell us what happened on that day.
Well, we had just kind of finished for the day, and we're packing up. A lot of us were getting washed up, getting ready for supper when the quake happened, and pretty scary 11 seconds for sure. And as soon as we realized that everybody was okay and verified that, Cheryl Vandermark, who's the resident administrator of the hospital, said, you know, we're here for a purpose. And she was quickly organizing teams to go down to the clinic, which is on site at the Mission of Hope, and begin to receive people that we knew would be injured. The mission is located up on a fairly steep hill, and from that you can see various villages in the distance. You can also see the lights of Port-au-Prince at night, and almost instantly you could see these huge clouds of dust rising from the villages and from Port-au-Prince, and that tells you that there's been major destruction, and before long you could hear people crying as well.
And Robin, from your perspective, where were you, and then what happened right
I
away?
was actually down at the lower level playing on the basketball courts with the kids from the orphanage, and so when the earthquake hit, well, at first we thought it was just an airplane or you know, a bus, you know, when it goes down too low or something. But then once we realized this is actually an earthquake, we all just hit the ground. And then when it was over, immediately part of the team that was down there, we knew we had to get up to see the rest of the team, where we just gathered and made sure that we were safe and prayed, and then we put the plan into action, as Dad said.
Thank God you were outside with the kids
Yes.
at the time.
Yes.
Now you brought along some pictures, and so maybe just between the two of you, walk us through some of what we're seeing here.
There is Dr. Cheryl, and actually that's a cardiologist that came from the States that was just there for a few days to see heart patients, but because he was there, we used him as well. That's Dr. Stan. And here you can see the back picture of paramedic Grant. I was calling him Dr. Grant by the end because he was just so amazing. And that's the outside of the clinic where you actually had all the patients coming in and lining up on the ground.
There's me, as we were moving a patient that we couldn't treat fully there, and they were sending her off to another hospital in Port-au-Prince.
And this is Dr. Cheryl again checking out an injury where actually he had a collarbone fracture, and she was just checking to see how his shoulders were lining up. I actually got to shadow Dr. Cheryl, so I saw a lot of what was going on.
This is just typical of the destruction of a building close by in one of the roads that we use quite frequently. And then some of the pictures from Port-au-Prince that are very similar to others that you've been seeing all week.
So you shot these yourselves, or your team members did?
Yes. That's us lining up for the evacuation at the embassy.
So you were able to return with a lot of other Canadians.
Yes, we were on a plane. I believe there was 180 some people on the military plane, and that's a picture of us clustered on the floor. Some people obviously very tired.
And so what do you see as we close this segment? What do you see as the greatest need in coming weeks and months, that as people give to help out, that they'll be able to meet?
Well, there's a huge need for food and supplies, and Cheryl several times as we were working through the patients said, I don't know where all the supplies are going to come from, because that little clinic was going to be exhausted, and I'm sure that'll be the case in every hospital, every clinic. They're going to need medical supplies, they're going to need continuing food supplies, and just all the basic necessities of life that we take so granted are desperately, desperately needed.
All right. Well, at Crossroads Missions, we're partnering with a number of organizations to help do just that. So David, Robin, thank you so much for stopping in. Glad to see that you're home safely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.